On. Well, one of the core issues with pollution remains the fact that data is limited. While we get AQI figures on a live tracking basis and have improved on tracking farm fires or PM 2.5 emissions, the data is still limited. That is what makes the problem even more complex and complicated. Now, a report called Countering Delhi NCR Air Pollution and Aligning Solutions, Clean Air as a Right to Life, released by the Illness to Wellness Foundation, has found that Delhi's air pollution is no longer something people are willing to live with. A survey of 17,000 people has found that 4 in 10 people prefer to move out of Delhi. Life expectancy in Delhi has been cut by an estimated 8.2 years. Air pollution costs India about $36 billion every year. And Delhi alone faces losses to an estimate of 65,000 crore rupees in a single year. Respiratory and cardiac OPD visits in Delhi too are rising by 25%. This is why Delhi needs to solve this problem urgently. But the big question is how, why, and who's going to solve it? Joining us to talk more about this on the program is Padma Shri Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, Chairman of Nephron Clinic, Mr. Luke Coutinho, Indian entrepreneur and author, also with us on the program. Kavita Ashok, environmentalist, is with us on the program as well. Dr. Bagai, I'll begin with you. Well, no prizes for guessing that this is something that any individual who wants to have his life prolonged and protracted and wants to be healthy would want to do, and that is to move out of Delhi. In fact, that is the advice that you have also given multiple times on this show as well, Dr. Bagai, that if you have an option, move out of Delhi. But what about those people, Dr. Bagai, who cannot afford to move out of Delhi? What about those people who have no choice but, face this pollution, breathe this toxic air, live with this uncertainty and tolerate the insufferable attitude of the government at large?
Good evening, Vineet. Good evening, everyone. I think the figures are known to everyone. Delhiites are losing more than 10 to 11 years of their adult life. More than 40% of the children in Delhi have irreversible deterioration of lung function, especially in children below the age of 5. Even a 10 microgram increase in PM 2.5, and that's just one amongst the many co-pollutants, decreases the chance of your livelihood and life. That means it increases your mortality in terms of cardiorespiratory metabolic disturbances twofold. That is more than 200 times. Now, these figures are absolutely killing. We know that it affects your lungs, your brain, your heart, your kidneys, increased risk of cancer, damaging pregnancies, stillbirths, prematurity, and more importantly, damaging your DNA and chromosomes. That means babies are now being born with congenital malformations. This is unacceptable. Now, a lot of people will find it very, very difficult to leave their home and shift out. Shift out where? And shifting out for how long? And it's something which is completely not practical. Air purifiers is not a way forward. And I think instead of playing a political blame game between one political party and another, all the parties must sit together. All the North Indian states need to sit together and have a rollout strategy panning out over 5 years. Give strict deliverables every quarter. Make the results public to everyone. I think we need to see results. We cannot decrease pollution to zero, but at least we can bring it to a level in which people don't have chronic cough and sore throats and not damaging the next generation. Over to you.
Luke, in fact, I can understand a thing like COVID when it happened. It set alarms throughout the world. India was also a country that bore the brunt of COVID. If it started in 2019 from China, it reached India by 2020 March. There was not much time to figure out what to do. And people had a choice. You could go out, catch that disease, or you could stay at home and avoid it completely by isolating yourself. But when it comes to the pollution, Luke, people don't have a choice, like I said, and it's not only limited to Delhi NCR. Look what happened in Lucknow. An international match was abandoned. Internationally, India was embarrassed. It was shamed because, you cannot have athletes run around, exert in that kind of an environment, ecosystem. Look what's happening in Bombay. this problem is not only limited to Delhi anymore, it is a national problem. But where is the planning? Where is the center? What is going on? China had these issues. They overcame. What are we supposed to do? Keep people losing lives and keep endangering the lives of children who definitely will have a pandemic of lung diseases in the next couple of decades.
Right. I completely agree with what Dr. Sanjeev has said. This is actually a public emergency. This is an air emergency. I mean, this is way different from COVID. Air is everything. We're not in control of it. There's DNA damage happening at every age of life. Babies are being born, babies in wombs, senior citizens. It's just getting worse and worse. And the thing is, somewhere, my biggest fear is India kind of normalizes stuff like this over time. And I'm afraid that people will just start getting used to this and they'll give up and they'll just start adapting to what's happening. But we will see the increasing statistic of diseases. I mean, if I have to be completely open over here, I can understand there'll be an economic impact, but we have to go through what COVID did. Everyone should be at home. School should move online again. And, if we remember in COVID, the air cleaned up. Everything cleaned up around. And then right now, I can't think of any other solution because political parties don't seem to have any answers. They don't have solutions. And while they continue to fight, everyone else continues to suffer. We have patients leaving Delhi and Mumbai almost every single day. Their doctors have asked them to move. They are moving out. Their families are moving out. It's no longer something that we can normalize or just think that it's going to get better. My biggest fear is once it's March and the weather starts to change and the air starts to clean up, everything will be forgotten until we reach October next year again. So I actually think, based on medical science, based on patients, based on everything happening right now, there should be no school right now. Children should not be allowed to go to school. I understand it creates immense problems for parents, etc. We should go back to a work from home model. And this way there should be less traffic on the road, etc. At least right now, we may not solve the problem in the future, but right now is where we have to take some amount of action, and limiting exposure is the best thing that we can do at this particular point.
Kavita ji, all right, GRAP comes into play. If the AQI goes beyond a certain level, construction is stopped, this and that is stopped, tandoors are not allowed to go on. Is that prudent? Is that pragmatic for a city which is home to millions and millions of immigrants from adjoining states? They need those tandoors. They have to go out there and labor. They are reliant on the construction. Are these solutions just a band-aid? Is this just headline management that's coming from the government?
Absolutely, you hit the nail on the head, because I feel that bringing the economy to a standstill is not the answer. Pollution checking at the petrol pumps and saying you won't get petrol if you don't have a pollution check, or shutting down tandoors. Is that the answer to this kind of AQI? 400, 500, 700? Are they joking? I don't know how citizens are responding to this, because we had raised our voices, I think, a month back, and now you can see it at the stadiums. So you see, Vineet, everything is catching up. That fire is building in. People are understanding that it's just, wishy-washy solutions that we are getting, and some GRAP 3, GRAP 4 is being implemented. But that's not the right solution. Also, I feel that we don't need a winter action plan anymore. We need an annual plan. We need a plan which works from January to December and just doesn't stop. It just keeps happening month after month. Let's not wait for Diwali. Let's not wait for Parali. So I think we are beyond that stage that we can think of shutting down tandoors. We are at that stage where we need to shut down the whole cities and sit at home like in COVID, because 500, 700, 400 of air pollution, the AQI is so high. I don't know how we are going to survive this.
All right, Dr. Mishra is also joining us at this point in time. He's been a part of these shows and these conversations. He's the former director of AIIMS. Dr. Mishra, honestly speaking, I have run out of things to ask you, but the fact of the matter is now the only hope that's left is that some sense will prevail. And, government spokesperson who come on various channels, they keep talking about the legacy that they inherited, and they keep talking about the steps that the previous governments did not. I don't think the citizens, including you, are concerned about that. What we are really concerned about is a long-term solution, some thinking, some management which actually charts out a decline, a decrease in the AQI numbers on a regular basis. How do you think that can happen, sir? And of course, the medical fraternity, people like you, are to be a part of this SIT, which the Rekha Gupta government in Delhi said would be constituted within 10 days of taking oath, which didn't happen.
Yes, Vineet, it's a very disappointing scenario for the country, for us in Delhi NCR, that year on year we discuss from November to February, and then life goes on as usual. So we are there at that. But what can be done? We can keep talking that we should not do that, but they have to. The other day also I said, this has to be done on a war footing. It's a gigantic problem and it needs radical solutions with the cooperation of the public at large. Because if you say do odd and even, that also public may not accept happily. If we say that you share transport and commute in shared transport, I don't know how much that is possible. So it's not that there are no solutions. There are solutions, there are hard decisions which government and public both have to take, so that government doesn't think that it will cost them politically when elections come, if they take any hard decision. So they have to ensure that this is not going to impact their electoral process, basically. So I think we have to, and if people want to leave, if I have a choice today, we would not live in Delhi NCR. But where people can go, where will they start earning their living? So it's not for everyone that everyone can move. Okay, we cannot be China, but we can learn lessons from them, what they could do with the cooperation of public, how much
and Dr. Mishra, I also want to bring to your notice that the best way to counter pollution is to decrease the vehicular load in any city. 60 to 70% of the PM 2.5 particulate matter is emitted from vehicles. Yet the electrification in our country is not only discouraged, it's tariffed. There are duties put on it. There are heavy prices if you buy electric cars. I really do not understand this policy.
Absolutely. I think it has to be multi-pronged strategy. You encourage electric vehicles. They should be costing less than the petrol vehicles. So I think all these are the efforts which government can easily do by reducing the duty on these cars. So there are multiple ways of dealing with this. Now, if you look at, Vineet, you go in any part of Delhi, there is a brooming taking place on the pavements. And see how much dust is generated by that. All the vehicles generate dust. So you can imagine everything is contributing here. Not only tandoor burning or parali, everything is contributing. Even we have put up a air purifier at home. It's a central air purifier, and it keeps our AQI to less than 10. And it is very effective. So as long as we are at home. But when we start cooking in kitchen, AQI goes up in that sensor. So you can't stop cooking food. Now, no, households cannot do that. Restaurants cannot do that. Hotels cannot do that. So we accept that. But even if we can keep the AQI below 100, I think it will be a huge achievement, and it is possible to do it, provided government is willing to invest in parali problem. Government is willing to invest in all the pavement should be covered with grass or concrete, so that there is no dust taking place. Vehicle odd and even can be done, which should not be a difficult thing to do. I think people will listen in this environment, and many other things can be done. Because if you say, people said that if you say construction, if you stop. Now there are, but I was listening to some podcast, there are almost 300,000 labor engaged in those employment. Now, where do they go? Where do they earn their living?
Exactly
So
my
the
point.
problem is not so simple that you have a switch, you put it off or put it on. It has to be a concerted effort, war footing, maybe for next 10 to 15 years plan.
Yeah,
Where
you're
gradually
absolutely
you-
right. So let me bring in Dr. Bagai into this conversation again. And Dr. Bagai, a lot of these measures that have been taken by the government, I fail to understand the prudence and the backing behind it. 50% of private institutes, of 50% of attendance in private institutes and government institutes. Of course, the government can manage it, but how are they going to monitor whether anybody is following this or not? Secondly, I mean, you as a doctor can shed more light on this. Does water really have any effect on PM 2.5 levels? Does it really do anything to the environment when it's sprayed the way it's been done in our city for the last few weeks, Dr. Bagai?
So I'll break it up into two parts. One is what can be done, and second is what is being done and should not be done. So let's begin with the second part first. When you're sprinkling water across pavements and the road dividers, you're basically looking after the dust particles, which is PM10. Now, the pollution is mainly from PM 2.5, which is from car emissions and vehicular emissions. So you're targeting the wrong vertical. Point number two, it is very transient, it's very limited, it's expensive, it's something which eats away a lot of our resources. Smoke towers have not worked, artificial rain has not worked. So I think we need to go at the origin. So what is the origin? We can definitely get a solution for the farm fires. This is absolutely absurd and ridiculous. In 2025, we are discussing why are people burning farms and the wind is bringing the smoke to Delhi. Point number two is with regards to emissions. There must be a concerted effort of giving world-class public transportation, be it metro or buses. At the present moment, we are grossly lacking. Point number two, there has to be a Delhi which are highly congested, which are called as no vehicular zones. So you can have EV vehicles in places like Connaught Place, which can take a person from point A to point B, multiple hop on and hop off kind of thing. But you can't have cars streaming in unlimited, infinite, late at night, during peak hours into one congested area. Point number three, we need multi-level car parks which can give provision in which people can park the car safely, not on pavements and roads. As much encroachment takes place on the roads, it slows down the traffic and therefore the traffic congestion, more the emission. Last, most importantly, is the polluting industries, which is in and around 200, 300 kilometers radius from Delhi, have to be moved out. One last point, with regards to the road dust, you can't have only 30-40% of the road tarred and the rest on either side left as dust pools. Then the next morning, a poor MCD sweeper comes with a big broom, and what he does is, the dust which is on the ground is now put up in the air, which remains suspended for many hours, so it's doing more harm than good. And has he picked up the dust? No. It gets relocated and transported, distributed to other places. So we are just going round in circles. I think we need a very, very frank discussion with scientists, with doctors, with environmentalists, and get a solution to this. This is not a nuclear science problem that we can't solve. All we need is all the political parties to come together. I'm least interested what Mr. Kejriwal did not do in last 10 years. He's history. But the fact is now the present government needs to pull the act together, get an expert committee to guide them, give deliverables every quarter, make sure that the next winter at least is slightly better. Otherwise, we are doomed.
Luke, any advice for people to safeguard their health? From the top of our heads, of course, we know going out at certain hours is dangerous, and having purifiers is also important now. They're as important as having a toothbrush. But what about the people, Luke, who can't afford all of this? What advice would you like to give them?
Absolutely, and that's what's disappointing, because today as experts, we feel, limited to give advice, because there isn't much to give. People are getting affected no matter what they do. You limit exposure, that's the best. You can't have an air purifier, that's going to be a bigger problem. Air purifiers are also becoming a problem because with the cold weather, you need a humidifier as well. So now people are getting respiratory issues and they're, okay, Luke, we got an air purifier. Now we need to get a humidifier put into the room. It's just become, it's disappointing and it feels overwhelming. The only advice we can give, it's also disappointing to see that despite there's so much awareness across the country, you'll still see people jogging out early in the morning, running out early in the morning. And these are educated people, so somewhere that's my fear, that people don't care anymore, or maybe they've come to that point that, hey, might as well just go and get my exercise done because the situation is never going to change. And if people learn to start adapting and normalizing all of this. So the advice always stays the same. You have any early symptoms, do not think it's the pollution. Go and get yourself medically checked. Number 2, limiting exposure will always be the best. 5 months ago, yes, we spoke about vitamin C and zinc and a clean diet, but honestly, that's not going to cut it with the amount of AQI there is right now. So I'm not going to even say that right now. I always believe in the collective power of the people coming together. We're seeing that. We're seeing anger amongst the public. We're seeing, I don't want to use the word hatred, but it's projecting in that way. And I think people are fed up, and I'm just hoping people unite together to come together to decide how this goes. But like Dr. Mishra said, this has to be taken on a war front footing. There is no other way. And right now, we as citizens don't see that urgency coming from the government. We don't see that urgency.
Well, it was not discussed in the parliament. Vande Mataram was discussed for 10 hours. Pollution did not get a debate.
That's exactly what I mean. We should know at least, okay, maybe it'll take 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Maybe the next generation will have something better. The water sprinkling AQI levels, there's this whole thing of changing the AQI level, not as per the WHO. I mean, this is just disappointing. You don't know where to move on from here. So all I advise people is do your best. If you can leave Delhi, if you can leave Mumbai, you should. If you can, but for everyone else, I guess you can only do your best at this point.
Absolutely. Well, people who have, a getaway home or a farmhouse in Shimla or in the hills can definitely afford to do that. But I'm sure 99% of the people. Yeah, go on, sir.
Water sprinkling is not a solution. It's a problem in itself.
Exactly.
Why? Because when the dust is wet, all our car tires take that wet dust. And then they go all around the city, and then the same dust is again immersed into the environment. This has been brought to notice. Water sprinkling is not really necessary and not desirable for this reason, because the dust sticks to these tires and then it goes around, it gets dried up, and again it is in the environment. So I think you cannot do as much sprinkling as it is required. It is a very, very cosmetic thing. So I think we should be very conscious of what we are doing and what we should not be doing. At least let's not do more damage by sweeping the roads, by sprinkling just cosmetically, and then we are back to square one and maybe more problem because of that. So I think this was brought to my notice by someone, ki, look, you are sprinkling this water, but this is the problem with the wet dust.
Fair enough. Well, we've run out of time, but I am sure this is not the last of pollution that we have spoken of and heard. We will continue to talk about this. We will continue to raise issues pertaining to pollution, because that is affecting one and all. We take a short break now. We'll be right back.